Hi there, Sugar Snaps. I have my mom on today to share a natural dyed Play-Doh. This is Sherry.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
We're going to mix up some Play-Doh. Mom will go over the Play-Doh mixing and how to make Play-Doh, and we're going to dye it with natural dyes so that it will be natural, chemical free, and have some fun colors made from plants. Some of the colors we'll be sharing today come from turmeric powder, hibiscus petals, purple cabbage, red beets, some black beans, matcha powder, coffee grounds, and blueberries. Check the description below for the materials and tools for this video. We're gonna just dive in here, so check there for all the things you'll need and the resources to find those. So there are two ways to make the natural dyes for the Play-Doh, and the natural dye that you'll be making will also be the water that Mom will be using in her Play-Doh recipe. So it'll be colored water that you're using to make the Play-Doh. The coffee, matcha, turmeric, and hibiscus are pour overs, so you'll boil water and then pour the boiling water over the powder or the petals or grounds. So go ahead and put those into a jar. We have our mason jars here. We have 3 tablespoons of hibiscus petals. We poured hot water over that and we let that sit overnight to allow it to steep in the water. You're basically making a tea with each of these things. So with those materials, you'll just be pouring the water over them. With the purple cabbage, the black beans, and the beets and the blueberries, you're going to want to put those in a pot of water and allow it to simmer on the stove for about 30 minutes to extract all of the color from the plant. Strain out the vegetable matter and use the water for your Play-Doh. So that's how to create your dyes. We have all kinds of the different mixtures here. Also, a quick note for the purple cabbage, you can make 3 possible colors from purple cabbage. Just water and purple cabbage will be kind of a purpley blue. If you mix it with white vinegar, it turns a fuchsia color, and then if you mix it just the purple cabbage water with baking soda, it turns a teal color. So we're gonna experiment with those and see if we can maintain the colors.
Didn't you do a video on the purple cabbage?
I did, yeah. So check up here. I have a YouTube short on how to dye with purple cabbage on wool yarn. Like this video if you enjoy making things, because it'll help spread it to other natural dyers and fiber artists.
You can do this natural dye process with any colorless or very light colored dough, clay, or Play-Doh. You can use it on flour doughs, cornstarch doughs, and similar type Play-Dohs. Today we're going to be making a flour-based Play-Doh. Our recipe is in the description below. We'll be using flour, salt, cream of tartar, and olive oil, along with our dyed water. Okay, so we'll start by dumping everything together into the bowl. The oil and the cream of tartar are already mixed together here. And then I'll start stirring it with the spatula. If you're doing this with more than one child, I recommend that each child has their own bowl. Brittany has actually divided made this large recipe into smaller batches so that we can do all of the different dyes. You can do the same thing, just make one batch, but pre-measure the ingredients for however many children you have. This keeps them from fighting over the bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just mixing it in, cutting the oil into the flour.
And this is a rough mix, right?
Yep.
Because we'll be adding the water.
Yep, it's still dry and chunky. Okay.
Okay, so now is time to add the water. Okay, when you are ready to add your liquid to your Play-Doh, you're going to open up your jar or just pour it out of the pot. And I'm going to use a little sieve here into the measuring cup, and it's nice to tag team this. And then pour some liquid into your measuring cup. And we're using a 1/4 cup of liquid. And then go ahead and add that.
Left-handed.
Yeah. Tricky.
Okay.
So we're gonna
Mixing it in. Ooh, that's a beautiful, brilliant pink
turned
color.
out really nice. And it looks like we need more flour.
Once you've mixed the water in, if you need more flour, you can add more to get the consistency of dough. Just go really slow because you don't want to dry your dough out and it will become all crumbly. And then you'll just have to dig in there with your hands, which is the fun part. Okay, take that.
Yep.
And here we have,
Ooh, that's a pretty
it's
color.
a gorgeous pink.
Yeah. So this is the hibiscus petals. This is, you could also use hibiscus tea from like tea bags. I just used the loose leaf. Yeah, that's really pretty. Nice pink.
And
That Play-Doh.
to be honest, we weren't sure if this was going to stain our hands or the table, and it's not. So
Yeah,
that's a
nice.
bonus, especially when you're working with kids.
Yeah. You can also lay parchment paper down on your work surface if you want to experiment with colors, or just make sure that your surface doesn't get too dirty. It'll make it easier to clean up, but we're just
got
gonna
away.
play around here.
Oh, that's a nice consistency.
Yeah, I like that texture.
Yep.
Cream of tartar makes it nice and smooth.
It's perfect for any of your own crafts, or of course to give to kids, to make a big batch up for Sunday school. Doesn't really have a smell.
And you can, speaking of that, you could add essential oils to this. I would suggest using lavender because that is safe for kids to play around with or ingest if they accidentally eat some of the Play-Doh. I would research other essential oils before putting it in your Play-Doh just for kids' safety.
Especially if you're working with small children. We made some pumpkin scented Play-Doh once in my Sunday school class, and the 3-year-olds had a tendency to want to taste it because it smelled so good. Fortunately, it tastes terrible. It tastes like salt, so they usually don't try twice.
Yeah. So we've experimented with several different ingredients, and I want to show you the outcome because we're pretty pleased with how this worked. The hibiscus is probably the most brilliant of all the colors. We got a nice fuchsia kind of purpley pink color. And that was pouring over boiling water over the petals. And then here's the coffee. We just created some coffee and got a nice cream color. The turmeric obviously is a nice yellow color. The blueberries actually was a little bit lighter than we were expecting. I was expecting more of a pink, but because of the flower, we have just a faded pink. The matcha, a nice kind of muted sage green. Black beans ended up with a deep purple, which is really fun. Black beans tend to dye fabric blue, so it was cool to see what it did to the Play-Doh. The beet, this is red beet. It's, I don't know, what color would you call that? Kind of a mauve, light mauve.
Yeah, it's
color.
like a rose pink.
Yeah. So that's fun. And then we did 3 different versions of the purple cabbage. This one, this pink color, is just plain purple cabbage. So the purple cabbage boiled in water, and then we use that straight. And then we changed the pH with some baking soda and got this kind of gray blue color, or maybe gray purple color. And then this one, we changed the pH using vinegar. So we did the purple cabbage water with a tablespoon of vinegar, and then when we mixed it up, both of the purple cabbage that we changed the pH, once we added it in with the cream of tartar, that changed the pH again. So we got similar colors from the 3 different ones. When you do the purple cabbage with baking soda, it turns the water teal, and we were excited to see how that would turn out. But because of the cream of tartar, it ends up changing the pH back basically. So you could possibly try this recipe without cream of tartar. Would that change?
Sure.
Change the
This also makes it a chemistry experiment.
Yeah, true. Yes. Yeah, so really fun colors. Obviously very muted, more natural colors, but it's fun to see what the plants can create. And these are great colors for kids to play with because they're basically pastels of the colors that they would normally get with Play-Doh.
So as far as dye transfer, the only one that we had a problem with was the turmeric. It did leave a tiny bit of yellow on the hand, which washed right off. But if you have a light colored table or clothing, you'll want to be careful, especially if you're working with children, because it did leave a few little yellow marks
As we were mixing
it. But now that it's mixed and as you play with it, it doesn't leave any dye dye transfer whatsoever. So I would use this with children. Everything else, we had no dye transfer to the hands or the table whatsoever. The other caveat is that the beet and the cabbage, they smell. The water smells really bad. And I was thinking, uh-oh. But once you mix it in, I think it must be the deodorizing effect of the salt. It has no smell whatsoever. So it smelled like rotten broccoli. This one also now has a drop of lavender, so it smells delicious. But even the cabbage ones, they didn't leave behind any smell. It just smells like Play-Doh.
Oh yeah.
So that was nice to know. The coffee actually smells like coffee, so that's a bonus.
Nice. Oh yeah. Jordan's gonna like that.
Yeah. And the matcha has a really light, it almost smells like a
mochi? Matcha latte. Oh, mochi.
A mochi ball. Yeah, so that was really fun.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, you can add an essential oil into them. We did that with the beet because we thought it was going to smell, and now it smells really good with the lavender.
And you just put one drop of this, and it smells. It's very strong. So
and these batches are quarter batches of the original recipe that's in the description below. So they're a smaller amount. You'll end up with, well, this much Play-Doh if you do the whole batch. So we just separated it so that it would be smaller amounts for all the different colors we wanted to try. So you can do that. I'll actually add that, the smaller batch in there as well in the description below so that you can do a quarter batch or a full batch depending on how many colors you want to try. Yeah, so I hope you try this out and experiment with your own colors or try out some that we did.
I'm curious, can you think of anything else off the top of your head that might work?
Yeah, I was actually gonna try yellow onion skins or red onion skins because yellow onion skins makes kind of almost this but a little bit more burnt orange, so almost the turmeric color. And then red onion skins makes kind of a burnt sienna or a deep brick color on most things. So I was gonna try that. I didn't because of the smell, because it usually stinks like onion. But now that we know that maybe the salt deodorizes it, I would try that and see how.
And I wonder if blackberries would come out darker than blueberries.
Yeah, all kinds of berries. Maybe not strawberries. Strawberries end up being a really light pink and it might get swallowed up by the color of the dough. But darker, like blackberry, marionberry, what are some other berries? Obviously blueberry. Yeah. Let's see.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's a good experiment. So let us know in the comments below if you try something we didn't. We'd love to hear about it. And try out yellow onion skins or red onion skins because that would be a fun experiment.
And let us know if it stinks.
Yeah, we want to know. To store your Play-Doh, we have these little mason jars. These are, I think these are half pints, right?
Yes,
half pint size, and they should store, they should store the quarter batch sizes of the Play-Doh, and you can just close them up nice and tight so that they don't get air in them and don't dry out the dough. And then store your dough in the fridge or somewhere cool so that it doesn't mold, and it should be usable for a couple weeks, months.
Oh yeah, it'll last a long time, especially if you don't get it wet. We would make dough at birthday parties and then send it home in Ziploc bags as the party favor. So that's another fun and very inexpensive way to do an activity and get a party favor out of it.
Yeah. And you can make your dye batches ahead of time like we did. We had all of our jars of dye ready to go, and that just makes the process of making the Play-Doh much smoother because you can just pour the water right in as the dye.
Yeah, I think if I was doing this with a bunch of children, I'd definitely do it outside.
Yeah,
it's a great summertime activity.
For sure. The making process was a little bit messy because there is flour and salt and stuff going everywhere. And we did do it with our hands. You can do it with a spoon, but there is a point where you have to dig in with your hands.
Which is the whole fun of Play-Doh.
Right. Yep. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a like and a subscribe to support this channel, and we'll see you next time.